She's a one.
Hello everyone. So I think we are wrapping up this day of conferences. So I'm Agathe, the co-founder and CEO of the Galleon Project. I'm very happy to be here with such French tech entrepreneurs, the stars and the most ambitious one of the French tech. First, maybe who knows the Galleon Project? There's like 5 people in the room. I still have work to do. So basically, the Galleon Project is the French think tank for the entrepreneurs in hypergrowth. So we are a peer-to-peer network. So entrepreneurs are sharing their experiences together so that they can grow faster. And we are also writing a lot of articles, tools. Those the entrepreneurs are writing them for the entrepreneurs in order to make them grow and learn from their success and their mistake as well. So I would like to introduce you to Eric, Ismaël, and Clément, who all raised like different series, and they all went from seed to mega rounds because you are all in series B or C. Clément made an exit last year, so you did all the you had the journeys. Thank you. So I'll let you introduce yourself. So your company, how much money did you raise, and where are you in the process? Eric.
Hello, I'm Eric Larchevêque. I'm a co-founder and chairman of Ledger. So Ledger is doing security solutions for cryptocurrencies. So just a question, who owns a Ledger product? Okay, a few. Good.
Same as the Galleon Project.
So the company has been founded almost 5 years ago. We raised 73 million euros in 3 rounds. First was a seed of 1.2. Then there was a Series A of 5. We also had some BPI for 1.5, 2 million. And then we raised 61 million euros in Series B when it was the Bitcoin craze in 2017. We had a good sense of timing. Now we are about 200 in the company. We do 98% of our revenues outside of France, so we are quite a global company, and we have offices in New York and in Hong Kong. And our objective now is really to go from B2C. We are a very big consumer company, let's say, and we try to go to B2B by selling solutions for enterprises.
And something amazing, you are in 135 countries, so you have 30 to go,
yes,
which is amazing for a French company.
Yeah, it's true. We manage the internationalization well.
And an hardware company.
Yes.
So and it's another challenge for you to be funded. So well done.
Thank you.
Ismaël.
Hello. So I'm Ismaël Ould, so the CEO and the founder of Wind. Wind, we are a SaaS solution. We provide for retailer cash-in and fulfillment engine for unified commerce. Retailers are facing to merge them online sales and physical sales, and our solution is here to help them for that. I have founded the company 5 years ago. 400 people. We have raised 112 million euros. Now we are present in 10 countries. We serve 100 customers, 100 brands. What we can say.
And maybe how many investors do you have? Crunchbase is saying 4.
No, four or five. 5.
Yeah.
5.
And again, it's
Six.
pretty amazing.
Six.
Ismaël says 6 investors. Yeah.
6. Yes.
So that's great because you have 25, no?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting to see the cap table as well, and they will tell you how they are evolving in the time. And Clément, your turn.
Yeah, 6.
So
my dream, by the way. So well done for that. That's 20 each. Well done. So Clément Buise, nice to be here. I'm really happy to share some pros, do's, and don'ts with you. So co-founder of a company named PeopleDoc, Paris-born, and then expanded progressively. It was actually a company that we pivoted in 2010. So I am like the grandfather of the panel. And it's been a 10 years from journey. So we pivoted after 2 rounds of failing during 3 years. It's been really hard, really tough. So raising money when nothing is going well is possible. It's not great. You can do that too. And again, happy to share some stuff about that, because this is something we're not just here to tell you about, okay, everything's going well, it's easy to raise money, and so what's behind is also important. So afterwards, we've deployed a platform to basically digitalize human resources, so interaction between employees and employers, really organically, really B2B, customer by customer, and we managed to have 8 million users, 2,000 customers, B2B. And a number we're really proud of is the churn, 0. We never lost any customer. So yeah,
I read that, so it's still the case.
It's still the case, okay. And we sold. I don't like that. We didn't exit last year, which was, by the way, half cash, half stock exit, and we spent 2 quarters being part of a Nasdaq-listed company. 2 quarters was enough for me. And another fund came and bought the whole group. So the valuation was 8 billion not of PeopleDoc, the group when we were acquired, and they bought back from Nasdaq at nearly 12 billion after 6 months. So I hope that was the PeopleDoc effect.
Cool.
I don't know, but yeah. So it's been a journey, and from seed, pre-seed, bad context fundraising to growth. Yeah, it's been quite a ride, and we were having as lead investor Accel Partner and Eurazeo.
So no American VC to conquer the US for you.
Accel Partner is quite a US-based VC, but we were indeed having Philippe Botteri in the UK office invested in PeopleDoc. So in between. The US brand with the French guy at the board. I think it's a great mix.
So it's working in this way. Okay. Maybe to start, I would like to ask you why, if you go back from your seed and like pre-seed, seed Series A, why did you need to raise fund at the beginning? Because we are here speaking about funding strategy. Ismaël, maybe you want to share your story about that?
Yes. So the first question that every entrepreneur have to, or group of a team of entrepreneurs have to ask themselves when they start the process of fundraising is really why they need to concretely to raise. Us, to talk about our story, we had a clear vision of what product is needed by the retail to support this omni-channel transformation, because it's a big transformation for them. So to build this product, we have spent like around 50 million euro in capex, because it's a big platform, and this platform have to be modular and have to be seamless integrated to the information system. So the issue for us was to say, okay, we need to convince investor to bet on us to build this platform who will be the best to match to every retailer needs. So it was the complexity of our challenge, because every retailer can do his own platform, home development like that, but to combine all of the issue, all of the technical architecture, and all of the functional needs of retailer in one single product, it was a big challenge. So in our case, we don't have the choice to raise money, because you can develop your product from the money of your client. It's good, but they will influence you to build the product that they need, but just for them. So we don't want to be in this kind of situation to develop a product for just one client, two clients like that. We want to be independent and to develop the product who fit with our vision. So the global vision is the reason why we were looking for a third part, so investor to finance that.
So to finance the innovation, basically, this was your case.
Exactly, but to finance a solution, because when you start a company, you are looking for money. So normally, a normal company, because I'm son of a commerçant. So normally, when you are a commerçant, you start to look money from your client because they pay you for the product or the service that you sell. In our case, we need to develop this product independently from the market, but to serve the market. Is the reason why we were looking for a third part to finance it. So it was really important when we have started.
So what was the first seed, or did you went from BA round, or how did you do?
It was crazy people. I think every business angel is crazy people who really believe on you, because when we have started. We had kind of nothing, so just the vision, just the expertise and the ambition. So it was Business Angel who gave us the first 1 million euro, and also, of course, the BPI. They help us with lending also 0.8 million. So we have raised 1.8 million 12 months after the beginning of the project.
Okay, so that's a lot of money to start with.
Yes.
And Eric, what's your story at the beginning? Why did you need to go in a seed or?
Well, in the seed, I think it's like any company. We needed money to develop the platform, everything. We are in hardware engineering. It costs a lot, and Ledger is the merger of 3 startups. So we were 8 co-founders and 20 in the beginning. So it was a lot of people to pay. So we had to raise. But the biggest question that we have been asked is, why did we raise 60 million euros when the company was really rocketing? In fact, we raised money because we didn't have any real plan with the money. It was just a treasure chest. At the time when we raised, we were doing about 8 million euro EBITDA per month. So it was really crazy. And so people ask, why do you dilute yourself? Well, because you never know what can happen. And we were very, let's say, lucky to have been able to raise this amount, because sometimes it goes up and sometimes the markets go down.
So it was just before the crypto bubble?
Yeah, we closed the round approximately a few days before the crash. So we had a good sense of timing, and of course the investor. We told them that it was going to happen.
Go back. The email is not.
So it was not such a surprise, but it was very important for us to be able to get this treasure chest to finance the company after. Because when everything goes well, sometimes you also have to think that it's going to be not so well. So that's why we did that.
So that was a strategy in a way, because you say. I didn't know, like you knew something was happening, and you had to anticipate.
We wanted to make sure that the company, because when you start to hire a lot of people, the cash burn of the company very quickly becomes crazy, and so you have too much responsibility. You cannot just bet that the market is going always to be good, because we knew it was crazy, and so just to be sure, we raised a lot of money because we could. And so it was a good decision, because now we are sure for the next year the company can continue to grow and develop in an environment which is not the same craziness than before.
Yeah, so you secured your business.
Yes.
And Clément, what about you? Can you talk a bit about the beginning and maybe focus on the Series B? And why did you raise the...
Yeah, so for the beginning, I think we're all in the same situation. I would be like lying, saying no. We decided what happened is that you go to the market, you're seeking for money to validate the product market fit. So you design your MVP and you say, okay, this is like maybe I need $1 million or less than that, but I need some money, that's for sure. Whether you got it or whether you need to steal it or in some pockets, but at some point this is what you need. So market practice is between, let's say, 300 and maybe $1 million, be a max for a seed, but some other companies are raising more, and then you start from there. So there's no really strategy behind that. I think it's more a race. But what it matters to me is to have some go, no go. So define some go, no goes and it's really hard. We didn't do that well, We raised the seed because we were not believing the no-goes. They were there, the world were there, but no, we were not listening to that. And so if you have clear go, no-goes, okay, I'm raising 300 to go there. If I'm, okay, and then maybe it's not a good idea, or maybe I need to switch strategy completely. So it's also an amazing timing where you're learning from one day to another. You can switch, you don't have managers or employees, and so the agility is at its max during this bootstrap period. And it's going to be my transition to a few years after that. We raised as many companies to go international. So we decided to go to the US first, from France to the US, before opening UK, Nordics, and Germany. So we were two of us, so we decided to send Jonathan, the other co-founder, to the US in New York. And there we did an internal round of 1 million, and with this ambitious business plan of making 0 revenue in 1 year. But the goal was just to try to understand the market. And that was a good one, but we made a mistake because what happened is that the two of us went there, we did like 50 or 60 meetings in 1 week. And the very first 2 meetings, we met with 2 companies we happened to sell the product to 6 months after that. And they were fast retailing, the holding of Uniqlo, 80,000 employees, and we were selling a fee per employee per month, boom. And then another, which is Coach, the leather handbags company, boom. Oh, US is easy. We understood the market. So we go back to France, we raise 15 million with Axel, and here we are making a mistake because we are selling a too high valuation, a too high potential to Axel partner. And then it's been a struggle for Series C to catch up between B and C because you raise money, but we were in the US and again trying to buy the market. So being too rich, sorry to say that, but at some point it's not that useful for your company. We hired too many people, we scaled too fast. We tried to buy the scaling instead of progressively doing what you do between your seed and your Series A, meaning, okay, you have to spend your cash wisely. You have no other option. You have to be really careful in the way you hire one person. We just hired yesterday 39 people in my company. So this is the scaling. So at some point, of course, you need to learn that, and hopefully the 39 are great people. but we were too fast, going too fast, too high valuation, and then we put the company at risk. Luckily, 3 years after that, we managed to catch up for the Series C.
Very interesting, thank you. And what are the good signs? Because I think what is interesting is you're all in big rounds. What signs did you have to go for the Series B, Ismaël? When did you decide to push the button and you say, okay, let's go there, let's raise some funds?
For the Series B, for us, the why was really the timing. The timing, it was important because the transformation
Say it in French, I think there's a lot of French.
La transformation que subit le retail actuellement n'allait pas durer éternellement. So we need
it's a bit of the same as Eric, actually.
Exactly. We need to catch the market. Yes, but there is no crash in the retail, hopefully. Yeah. Million people involved all around the world. So we need to catch this transformation as soon as possible. So after the seed round and the Series A, we had our product market fit. So our solution was totally ready, client happy, and we continue to deploy with them. So the issue after that was to say, okay, how we will structure the company to onboard more and more clients in France and internationally. So it was really the purpose of the fundraising, how to accelerate. And at this moment, we have the amazing opportunity we have started a process to fundraise, and two of our clients, which is Sodexo Venture and Orange Digital Venture, following by Alven Capital, who was the investor of the first round, trust us to give us the money to develop it. And it was amazing opportunity for us because they give us a commercial contract, because this is international company with a big deployment and a big landscape, and also the money to develop commercially the company. So it was really fast, the process. And for us, it was the best opportunity because we have the commercial landscape and the money to support this growth.
Okay, and speaking a bit about the VCs, Eric, can you tell us if you choose the one who will follow you, or they get to choose you? And maybe what can you expect from a VC? Because I've heard a lot that if you want to go to China, you have to have Chinese funds. If you want to go to the US, you need the US funds. So first, how do you choose them, and what do you expect from them?
Well, at the beginning of Ledger, it was more like the VCs who chose us because we were hardware and Bitcoin and crypto, so it wasn't popular at all. So we had to find a VC, Xange, who just believed into the company and the people. So they took a bet, and we are very happy to work with them. With the Series B, we were lucky enough to be able to choose because we had a lot of few. We had a few term sheets, and so we were more like in a good position to choose. And to answer your question about do you need a US fund to go in the US, the answer is no. If you want to go to the US, you have to go to the US. It means the first thing that we decided when we launched Ledger was to open an office in San Francisco. So one of our co-founders went there with his family. So it was a big cost for the company. That was maybe the biggest cost of the company, the biggest investment, because for 2 years it was just an investment which didn't give any return.
For 2 years?
Yes, because it was just about business development, putting the Ledger brand in the US. But when the market, the Bitcoin market became very crazy, everything came back tenfold and more.
And you were settled over there.
Yes, because they knew us. Each time we went into fairs or trade shows, Ledger was there, so it helped build the brand. And so it was a very, very big, very interesting investment. And so today, Ledger does maybe 20 to 25% of turnover in the US. And it's not because we have had US funds that it came to that. It's because we went there, and you have to be there. And it's an investment. It's not free, but in my opinion, that's the way to do it. You just have to go there. Of course, you have to choose wisely the timing, because you can quickly burn your money. But that's what I would say. For China, I think it's more complicated. I think that you need really to have the right people to introduce you, etc. But for the US, other countries, I think it's more about your own strategy to go there. And if you have VC funds, okay, maybe they can help you with networking and everything, but there is no magic. There is no magic into what they can do.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, this is not magic, but when you want to conquer a market, you need stakeholders, you need partners. And it's really important to understand that when you go to onboard customer in another culture, because we are on B2B.
We are more consumers, that's why.
Exactly. On consumer, probably, but on B2B, it's network business. And money, it's part of the network. So in our case, for example, now we are not in US, but going in USA without US investor, and in fact, culturally right now, because America is going to be more and more protective. So it's better to have American blood in your equity to conquer the market. So in our case, I think, and all of the B2B company that I know, all of them, they have find an American investor to help them to scale in US.
To grow there.
Yeah,
All
Scale in US, and for China.
More importantly, it's the execution team. The executive team needs to be international. So
It's a mean.
American.
It's
So
a mean.
the-
It's not enough, but
totally.
it's a tools
Yeah.
that you need to conquer the market.
Okay, and just what can you expect, Clément, from what do you expect from your VCs? Do you have high expectation? What's your
So yeah, to come back on, can you choose? Should you choose? Yeah, you should choose if you can, of course. But yeah, choose. Take care. You need to have a real fit with not the fund on it, but the partner will be sitting at your board. Because at some point in the journey of your company, of course, you know, whether it's an exit or it's a flip, a turnaround, whatever, you're gonna have some tough decision to be made. And we were really happy. We were having Alven, by the way, and Eurazeo and Axel, and we were having an amazing board. And it's been so important. It's been an asset to us. And believe me, when you have to speak about an exit, and some are like, okay, but we should keep going, and other and so. And in our case, what mattered to them was Jonathan and I, what we wanted to do, and this is really rare. And we knew that from, you know, so we were lucky enough to choose them. So that was the. So what can you expect? Not magic, you know. At some point, they are finance guys, so they won't have to have their reward at some point. Network, portfolio, connection. Having a good brand, if you have like Axel has an amazing brand, so this is putting some kind of a stamp on your company, so this is cool. But the stamp is also some pressure on the company too. So yes, so some brand awareness, network, and so on. But they're not gonna close deals for you, of course.
I have so many more questions. Maybe just last one, and after I want to take some questions from the audience. I think I have 5 minutes for that. Just, did you use some fundraisers? No.
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 And Eric, yes,
Just at the beginning for the seed and series A, but not for the series B.
All right. Do you have a tip regarding fundraisers, or how do you structure your strategy? Who are you surrounded by when you are?
For me, what is indispensable when you fundraise money, it's a lawyer. So you need to have an amazing lawyer, because the shareholder agreement is the key of the management of the company. So for me, it's what you need for sure when you start to fundraise. You need to have a strategy, because many people want to start to raise an amount of money but without a strategy. So why you raise, what are you looking for, how you want to work after, everything clearly before, because it's like in love, when you meet someone, you need to match. So if you don't know what you want, it will be hard to have a great relation. And for a fundraiser, us, we never need it. But I think
she's the one.